What's up, guys? Magnus here, and I just saw the Sonic movie. Sonic the Hedgehog movie finally came out 2020, and man, the stuff that I've heard about it before I went to watch it, like for example, I saw it right after the weekend. So I saw it on Monday after the weekend that it came out, and I saw it after reading an article that stated that it had a bigger opening than the Pikachu movie to be one of the greatest opening weekends for a video game movie, which I was excited about. But even more important than that, I want to get into first my quick review of the movie and then something deeper, what this means for Sega. Now, let's start off with the actual movie review. Is it an Oscar winning movie? No, definitely not an Oscar winning movie. But it's a movie that has heart. It's a great movie for kids to watch. It's a great movie for those of us who are nostalgic Sonic fans will absolutely enjoy. But it has heart. It has meaning of friendship. It has meaning of just basically feels that you want to get out of a movie sometimes. But it kind of runs through the paces of storyline, trying to get somewhere, and then eventually getting what you need and saving the day. Now, one of the standout performances, besides Sonic the Hedgehog, which was a great job, and much props to the actual movie makers that actually reworked the Sonic character, because I did a video a couple of months ago showing on how horrific that original Sonic character looked, and the fact that they fixed that was amazing. But another standout performance was that of Jim Carrey, who really also brought you back to 90s Jim Carrey and how he was wacky. And sure, it's been a while since he's been like that, and after a while it's been kind of like overdone and overplayed, but Jim Carrey just kind of went back to what made him stand out and really kind of reach out there and grab people's attention, like with his classic roles. So it was a nice feel all around. But what really drew me in and actually kind of got me worked up was that this was Sega. That Sega took a risk with this movie and put themselves out. Why? Well, here's what I think. The Sega company hasn't always been perfect. They've had a lot of peaks and valleys, and we know about all of those stories. And if you're a Sonic fan, if you're a Sega fan, if you're a Shenmue fan, then you definitely know of the struggles. Heck, even Shenmue 3 in itself, has had its share of controversy even to this day. But it's what makes us passionate fans want to root for the underdog. There's always that underdog story that we want to just pull through, especially with Sega. Like in the late 80s to early 90s, Sega was the underdog against Nintendo. When it comes to pulling through, the Genesis kind of did, especially that with Sonic. And then when the Dreamcast came in, once again we wanted the underdog to push through against the bigger competition like Sony and Xbox and Nintendo, although Xbox came out later. But all of this competition was kind of what eventually told Sega, you know what, we're out of the hardware business, and kind of just creeping along there. Now, Sega's one of the biggest companies with the broadest franchises that they own when it comes to IPs. One, especially the most important IP to Sega, is that of Sonic the Hedgehog. And Sonic the Hedgehog has been one that's just undeniably earned money for Sega. However, Sega in itself is not exactly a Nintendo at this point, and certainly not a Disney. But it's an important franchise to the company, and they used the mascot to actually go into the movie realm and say, you know what, we're going to make a stake in here. Nintendo tried with Mario Brothers, and then they said, you know what, never mind. But then they kind of came out with Pikachu, which was actually a pretty decent movie. So then Sega's like, you know what, we're going to try out there, because Sega's games in itself, though many are profitable, many are not, and it's something that's can be a struggle. So though Sega's name out there is pretty big with Sonic the Hedgehog, Sonic could be the hero that could ignite the other franchises such as Shenmue to the mainstream. Now, Shenmue was featured in the Sega logo in the beginning when you see Shenhua right in that logo, which was amazing to see because as a Shenmue fan, to see Shenmue up on the big screen, even though it's teased and no one really would call it out, us Shenmue fans would call it out. So props to Sega for throwing them in there and throwing such other important franchises, such as Yu Suzuki's franchises like Virtua Fighter, for example. That was in there as well. So that in itself was amazing. But the importance of this and the profit that this movie is going to make could ignite Sega to say, hey, let's venture into our other franchises and seeing if we've got some reputable stories or something that can make money, that are recognizable. And of course, they're going to lean on Sonic to do that. But they've got a number of series that have incredible stories, such as the Yakuza games, such as Shining Force has an epic story that you can have with that franchise that kind of reminds you of something like Game of Thrones. But even more than that is, in my opinion, Shenmue. Shenmue's got an excellent story that you can tell from a movie perspective and really lay it out in a handful of movies and actually earn money for the franchise. But the important thing that all these video games movies mess up is writing the story and the script. Directors just can't figure out how to write a story and tell it well for the big screen. And I don't understand what's so hard, except the fact that directors and writers of movies might not be fans of the franchise, might not be gaming fans. And that's part of the problem, is that you need someone who understands what games are about and why a movie could add to the lore of games. Because so many of these movies, especially with, you're trying to tell a video game storyline in real, like a movie format, the number one hangup is, well, everyone who's played the game, who's going to watch the movie, already knows the story, so why are they going to want to see my movie? The answer is kind of simple. First, it's a video game movie about the franchises that they love, so they're going to see it anyway, even if they know the story. But you can use that opportunity to add to the lore. Don't just copy the video game word for word. Add to the story. Add to the lore. Add to what you can tell and things that we might not have known. Work with the actual video game creators to make the game into a movie, but something that makes you love the game even more, because now you want to know even more, and then make us want to watch sequels. And the way to do that is, honestly, put your own spin on it, but keep it authentic. If you don't keep it authentic, then you betray the audience that comes to watch that movie. Resident Evil franchise, for example, I believe had a great start. I actually do like the director, Paul W.S. Anderson. However, for example, I love what he did with Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat's one of my favorite movies. Though cheesy now, back in the mid-90s, it was perfect. It's exactly what I wanted. But the Resident Evil franchise, I think, had a great start. It told a story that was authentic to the series, but had its own twist. And then at the end of the first Resident Evil movie, it just fit right into the video game storyline. But then you had the next two sequels directed and written by someone other than the original director. So when Paul W.S. Anderson came back, he's like, well, this is a mess. I'll just kind of go with what they wrote and make it my own thing. And that's not what fans wanted. It still made a bunch of money. So Capcom would probably still want to milk that franchise. Capcom would probably still want to milk that franchise in another video game series movie collection. But as of right now, it is one of the most, if not the most profitable video game franchise in movie history. So that's kind of what we want. But Sega's got the opportunity to make money off of these movies, which would only benefit them from the perspective of milking their franchises and IPs as much as possible, but also getting their IPs out there to be recognized by a larger audience to then want to go play the games. Like to be honest, after seeing the Sonic movie, I wanted to play Sonic Mania again because it brought me back. And that's what that does. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you guys think. Have you seen the Sonic movie? And do you think that Sega should kind of venture into more of these movies? And what do you think a Shenmue movie would be like? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, like, share, and you can make my day if you subscribe today. This is Magnus, and I'm out. See you guys later.